Good evening.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I feel proud of myself today.
Really?
Here's why.
Okay.
Y'all are gonna look at me like I'm crazy at first, but that's okay because I am. No. I went grocery shopping today.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that big for me?
Because of your agoraphobia.
Right.
And you didn't come home stimming?
I didn't stim. No, you're right.
You didn't?
I didn't. Wow.
You actually came home in a good mood.
Yeah. Okay, so some of you are going, okay, what in the heck is wrong with grocery shopping? What is so great and big about that? Okay, I have what's called, it's one of the leading causes of my disability, actually, is agoraphobia. It's also commonly paired with panic disorder. Now, agoraphobia is an anxiety disorder. And according to the DSM-5, the Diagnostic Statistic Manual of Mental Health,
Yep.
one of these days I'm going to get my hands on one of those.
They're expensive.
They are expensive. They are very expensive, and that's generally why only professionals have them, but I want one. I want one just so I can have one. You have to have at least 2 of the following 5 symptoms. Me personally, I'm one of the lucky ones. I have all 5. And those are public transportation, open spaces, such as
These are fears of, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Fears of I'm sorry, yeah, I didn't specify that. You must have the fear of either open spaces, such as parking lots.
Cornfields.
Cornfields, yeah, but there's not a lot of agoraphobic people who are afraid of cornfields.
That's true. I was just
kind of
being weird.
Yeah, well, but anyway, like parking lots, like fireworks shows.
Ooh,
oh, yeah. Sporting events, things that are outside but still crowded. Closed-in spaces such as like elevators, shopping aisles of a shopping store. And then the 4th one is standing in line or being in a crowd or having people behind you that you can't see. And then the other one, the 5th one, is being out of the home by yourself. So yeah, I have all 5. You have to have at least 2 to be diagnosed with agoraphobia. I have all 5. And basically a lot of it stems down to the fear of not being able to escape a certain situation, fear of something embarrassing happening, and usually that embarrassing thing that they're afraid of happening is a panic attack. Agoraphobics don't have to have panic disorder, but they commonly do. However, panic disorder can be all by itself, too. It's not as common for everybody with panic disorder to have agoraphobia, but it is very common for agoraphobics to have panic disorder, if that makes any sense. And panic attacks, basically your body triggers the fight or flight reflex without a reason. Fight or flight is a body's natural defense to get out of dangerous or, well, potentially dangerous situations. And basically what initially happens is your body revs up insulin. What are you doing?
Watching the kitty.
Oh, is she being silly?
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, so your heart starts to race, you start to sweat, you start to breathe heavy, you breathe fast, hyperventilate, you can lose feeling in your fingers and toes and limbs. A lot of people, the first time they have a panic attack, they actually think they're having a heart attack. It's very, very similar feeling as a heart attack. And it can land people in the hospital. It's landed me in the hospital on many occasions, actually. So today, I went grocery shopping, and, well, hello. I think we have a guest. Hello,
I
baby.
guess so.
We have a special guest. And she's going to sit on back here. Sit on this end. Here you go. Here you go. I went grocery shopping today. Now, I wasn't alone. I was with my mom. Because I still have a lot of problems leaving the house alone.
Yep.
I don't even drive anymore because of it. Well, there's many reasons why I don't drive. That just happens to be one of them. And I am getting better than I used to be, though. Like, I used to be so bad that when I was married to my ex-husband, we would have to go grocery shopping at, like, stupid o'clock in the morning, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., midnight, because that's when the stores were the least crowded. Because I actually couldn't handle a normal store during normal hours. I would just lose my shit. I have learned techniques to get myself through these attacks and these episodes. And yeah, I am getting better. There's a few things you can do. You can go, of course, into therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy is probably the best kind for agoraphobia. I've never been in CBT therapy before, so I'm not really too knowledgeable on CBT, but I know that it's the best for anxiety disorders. And supposedly, if you have it bad enough, you can find a therapist who will actually come to your home to help you.
If you live in a big area.
If you live in a big area. Good luck with that. And good luck with finding one that your insurance company will pay for.
Yeah.
Because those get expensive.
Yep.
Another thing that you can do is medication, of course. Benzodiazepines, such as Prozac. Prozac is not a benzodiazepine. That's an antidepressant. I don't know what I was thinking just now. So skip that. I'm on Prozac, but that's not why. Ativan, Xanax, Valium, Klonopin, and Buspar.
Yep.
Those are your 5 main ones. I think there's a couple more, but I don't remember the names of them.
I don't know.
And a lot of people are afraid of, oh God, they're addictive, I'm going to get addicted, I don't want to take those. As long as you're careful and you wait, like the way to look at them is, it's a plug for a floodgate, you know? If a floodgate cracks open and it needs a plug, you get the plug. Then you use the plug. If your floodgates are fine, you don't need a plug, don't use the plug.
Yep.
So, use your benzodiazepines only when you need to. Don't use them on a regular basis, and as long as you do that, you probably would be just fine. If you do have a history of addiction, you have to be very careful, and actually you'd be lucky if you could find a doctor who would prescribe one of those to you if you have a history of addiction. I'm on... Ow. Okay, bye. I'm on Klonopin, Ativan, and I'm also on gabapentin, which is not a benzodiazepine. It's actually a nerve pain reliever, but it's also been linked with calming people down. Mm-hmm. And I take the gabapentin on a regular basis. I don't take it when I need it. I take it every day at a certain time. But the Klonopin and the Ativan are what I take when I need it. If it's an acute kind of not quite a serious one, I take my Ativan. If it's really serious, like I'm going to end up in the hospital if something doesn't happen soon, I take a Klonopin. Because the Klonopin will kick in faster and last longer than the Ativan. At least that's what my doctor tells me. They're not sure what the cause is. They know that it can be inherited. They also link it to PTSD if you were traumatized during a childhood.
Or even as an adult.
Or even as an adult sometimes, yeah. Like me, I was bullied a lot. I don't know if that's the reason why I have agoraphobia now, but I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't one of the factors. But yeah, I was bullied a lot. I was embarrassed in public a lot when I was in school. I was bullied because of the way I walk, because of my cerebral palsy. My family didn't make much money, so we didn't have all the high fashion clothes and the greatest gadgets and the newest whatevers. I got that. And when they couldn't think of any more real reasons to bully me, they would just start making stuff up.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah, they would just start making things up. I know one traumatic thing that I went through that really contributed to my fear of public transportation is one day I was taking a city bus home from college back to my apartment, and there was actually a gang fight on the back of the bus while I was on it. The bus had to pull over, most of the people ran out, they called the police, I had to make a statement of what I saw and heard, and the weird thing was I didn't hear anything because I had headphones on. So now, I didn't hear the fighting because of the headphones, and I didn't see the fighting because I was sitting near the front of the bus, which that may also be why I have a fear of having people behind me. I like to be in the back of lines, I like to be in the back of rooms, I like to have my back to the wall. I don't like being in a situation where there's people in a place where I can't see them. I know that part is kind of rare, but it does happen. It does happen a lot to me. And like fear of having a panic attack in public. For one time, like not too long ago, I was at the post office and I was getting a money order for rent. And I had my debit card, and their debit card system screwed up, and it wouldn't take the card, and then so I went to an ATM to withdraw the cash to pay for the thing, and it turned out their system did take the money out of my card. So they didn't have the money, and I didn't have the money, and the card didn't have the money. So I got back to the post office and tried to explain this to them. And rent, for me, is most of my income.
Yeah.
So, of course, I was a little nervous about this whole thing. Well, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse until I was finally sitting on the floor at the post office, on the floor crying and rocking and trying to calm myself down. The manager of the post office actually came out and took me back into his office so that I could calm down without being surrounded by customers, because people were doing oh, what the heck is wrong with that lady? You know, because I was flipping out. And one of the most embarrassing parts of the whole thing was I had to have him go get my mom, who was waiting in the car outside. That's how bad the panic attack was. That's the kind of stuff that happens on a regular basis when you have agoraphobia. And that is why people with agoraphobia are so afraid of leaving the house or going into any public place where there's no quick escape possible. That's why it is very much associated with panic disorder, because it does bring on panic attacks. Let's see, what else can I talk about with it? Really, that's about all there is to it. Some other ways that they treat it, other than CBT and medication, is there's two different phobia treatments. One called the hierarchy of fear, and then one called flooding. Hierarchy of fear is basically taking baby steps towards conquering a fear. When I still lived in Illinois, the therapist I was working with at the time, he and I were trying to get me to back on public transportation. So we started the hierarchy of fear. And the first step is thinking about the thing that we are afraid of, thinking about being on the bus. And just thinking about it and thinking about it until I am comfortable with thinking about it. Then we moved up to talking about it, and we would talk, and we would spend many sessions talking until I was ready to move on to the next step. And the next step was standing at a bus stop. And then the next step after that was watching the bus go by, or stepping on the bus just long enough to step on, see the bus, and step off. The next step would be to step on the bus and ride the bus until I couldn't handle it anymore, and then just get off the bus. And you get the idea. You start little and you move on until you're finally at your grand goal, which is being able to ride the bus. I still, to this day, can't ride buses. just even thinking about buses just makes me, oh boy, here we go. You know, I just, we were doing okay back when I lived in Illinois, but we had to move, so I had to switch therapists. And the therapist I got when I moved here, which I don't have anymore because she left for a different clinic further away, and I never really got around to getting another therapist, but that's okay, because I haven't really needed one. I might get one again someday, but right now I don't. Oh, and the other treatment for phobias is flooding, which is basically kind of the opposite of hierarchy of fear. Flooding, I'll give you an analogy because it's a lot easier to explain it within an analogy than it is to explain it how it works. For me, anyway. Say you're afraid of balloons. Okay, you're afraid of popping balloons. For flooding, what they would do is they would put you in a room with a bunch of people, all with balloons, all with needles, and these people would all pop their balloons around the same time, and you would be forced to sit there and endure it until finally your body goes, okay, this is okay, this is not hurting me, it's just popping balloons. Sometimes it takes several flooding sessions for the success to happen. Sometimes the flooding will fail completely because the people just can't handle it and have to get out, even if they aren't being hurt or embarrassed or whatever. They have to get out. The flooding is kind of not used very much anymore because it doesn't have the best success rate, and it does make people very uncomfortable, and it makes people very upset. I've never used any, but none of my therapists have ever used flooding with me. I've only had the hierarchy of fear used, and it was starting to work. The hierarchy of fear was. So, but I might try that again someday. But yeah. So, like I said, at least two of the five: public transportation, open spaces, closed spaces, or crowds. Standing in line. I'm not too bad at standing in line at a grocery store where the line, as long as the line is moving and there's not a lot of people behind me. If there are people behind me, then I get nervous, but as long as it's moving, I'm usually okay. Or if there's somebody behind me that I know, such as my mom or him. He doesn't go out much because of his disability, but have you ever had any of those kind of issues before? You personally?
Off and on with just...
Do you think you would meet the criteria for being diagnosed?
Probably not.
No. Do you remember any agoraphobic incidences with me that you were with me?
Probably the last time we went to Walmart together. We went into the store.
Okay, tell me about what happened, because I actually don't remember that.
You ended up sitting on the floor, rocking back and forth, crying.
Oh.
Yeah, it was bad.
Okay, I don't remember that, but okay. Yeah, one way I deal with it, I've talked about it in past videos, is stimming, which is very common in autism, but it's any repetitive behavior that distracts your stimuli from whatever's making you uncomfortable. Common ones are rocking back and forth, twisting your fingers around, chewing on something, making noises, flapping your hands. My main ones that I usually kind of start doing without, and stimming a lot of time comes without you even realize you do it. I will do this a lot, and I'll make That's the kind of stuff that I do when I'm stimming. When it gets really bad, I may even go as far as to start hitting my head or trying to hurt myself just to distract myself from whatever's making me uncomfortable. But yeah, that's stimming, and I do that a lot, especially when I'm really anxious or a panic attack is about to come on. Can you think of anything that I missed?
No.
No?
No.
I can't think of anything I missed either, but as usual, as always, if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. I am going to have a little contest. Right now, we are only at 13 followers. I am reading... Oh, where'd it go? I'm currently reading this book, and I am liking it so far. When we get to 100 subscribers, what I want you to do is I want you to subscribe.
You have it upside down.
I have it upside down. Did I really?
Yes.
Wow! When we get... Oh, boy. Hello, bloopers. Anyway, when we get to 100 subscribers, I want you to leave a comment below to let me know you subscribed, and ask me or give me an idea of something you want us to cover in a future video. Those are the only 3 rules. And then what will happen is when we hit 100, I will choose one person at random, and I will mail them this book as soon as I'm done reading it, and I'll probably be done reading it long before we hit 100. But anyway, that's how that's gonna work. I might have more for 200, 500, whatever. We'll see when we get there.
Yeah.
But when we hit 100, somebody's gonna win a copy of this book. And those are the rules. Subscribe. Yep. Leave a comment saying you subscribed, and include something you would like to see covered in a future video in your comment, and you'll be entered. That's all there is to it. So get your friends, tell your friends if you want to see this grow. Tell your friends, tell anybody you think would be interested, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I am done babbling.
Yep.
And you had nothing to say as usual.
I've been doing better some of the videos the past week.
You have been doing better, I know. I tend to be the dominant one when it comes to us, and I try not to be, but whatever. So we will end the video, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.